Yo, what's up? A lot of you are probably gonna be new to this because I don't do movie reviews often, and when I did or have done, they've all been comic book related. This one is video game related, which is close. It's pretty close. It's more or less the same thing. It's just I'm not also 100% sure if this video is gonna go out because I did see this. I didn't see it late. I saw it. So today was the day it was released, but I know some people have put the reviews already, so I'm usually a little more on time with these. But yeah, I thought I might as well do it because I am a Sonic fan and I'm a game fan. And I like the movie. I like the first movie. I like the first movie and I wanted to see this, and I feel like with the other movies like Spider-Man and the Batman, I mean, we knew they were going to be good movies, so I was kind of like not really up for like reviewing them, just kind of wanted to talk about them. But with this one, I was like, I think this one's like more like could be hit or miss. You never know. You never know what could happen. But yeah, so if you don't know how this is gonna work, I'm basically gonna put based on the title, which I'm pretty sure I will have it in the title. It's gonna be non-spoiler and then spoiler. Normally, like my last two reviews, the first one was an hour, the second one was like 44 minutes. This one I think will be fairly quick because it's not a whole lot to talk about. It's not super, I mean, it's kind of deep if you're a huge Sonic fan and you can kind of like digest and go into lore, but that's not a review. That's just ranting. So I'm not going to do that. But yeah, on the non spoiler side, I'll start by saying this movie had a lot of the things that I was expecting. It had a lot of the things I was expecting. In fact, I can't think of one thing that I wasn't hoping to get out of this movie that I didn't get. Everything showed up. Everything that I was expecting to happen, based as a Sonic fan and seeing kind of where they might be going. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna make it broad. I'm gonna make it broad enough so there's not like I'm ruining the movie experience, but I will still give a content review. But at the same time, at the end of this non-spoiler review, I will give a rating so you guys have a rough estimate of how I felt. And I say rough because I think numbering is such a like it's not general enough to describe an experience, so that's why I think reviews exist anyway. So it's like if you're gonna talk about how you felt about the movie, why give her a numbering system? But I guess it gives more of a clear view as to how you're kind of feeling. But anyways, I'll start by saying we'll go through the beats in terms of beginning, middle, and different parts, climax, without giving specifications. I'm gonna say the beginning's nice. The beginning's nice. Uh, I'm gonna say one thing to jump off with that I might carry over when going step by step with this. I feel like this movie did less Sonic than the first movie, which makes sense considering you have Tails, and if you saw the trailer, you saw Knuckles. So I'm like, yeah, okay, you have Tails and Knuckles. It makes sense you're gonna get less Sonic. What I mean by that though is like, not that you didn't get as much Sonic. It's just I feel like there's less Sonic moments, which I guess makes sense. And I don't feel like that's a spoiler to say. It's just it feels like compared to how the first movie felt to me, I was just kind of feeling like Sonic doesn't do like I feel like they kind of try to pull him back a little bit in this movie and try to make like Tails and Knuckles more of an impact, which worked towards the tail end because I ended up getting more connected to the two. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe, but I feel like you still could have done that without kind of limiting Sonic in some scenes. Um, Obviously, I won't explain which scenes, but some scenes I was like, you're the fastest thing alive. You're not gonna, do your whole zoom. You're not gonna do that. I'm like, nope. I guess not. And every scene that I'm thinking of, there's always kind of a little bit of an excuse that I'm like, I could give that to Sonic and be like, sure, you're not doing it because of this or whatever. But Robotnik's back, which you saw in the trailer. Eggman, he's doing his thing. Jim Carrey was great. Jim Carrey was great. It's still not gonna lie. I look at this movie and I think to myself, he is acting with no one present in the scene, and it's super funny. So that's still kind of something that I feel I got used to because of the first movie, but still still feels weird. It still feels weird watching this movie. I'm like, those aren't. They're not there. Like it's CGI. Sonic Knuckles and Tails are just imaginary. They're just talking to imaginary people. What's I get like you can I get that as an actor you can do that, but I'm just saying like it's just weird as an audience member watching it and like knowing in my head I'm like, yeah, they're just so far from reality. It just feels weird. I was like kind of off-putting. But Jim Carrey's cartoony enough, sure, but it's still like there in my head I'm like, "Huh?" But in terms of the beats, like I said, the beginning, I'd say like the first maybe close to half an hour was good. And then we kind of had, I don't know, in my opinion, it felt slow. Not slow, just it felt like there was a lot of stuff. I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this. I didn't ask for this. Like these parts, why are they here? Which is not what you want to hear in your head when you're watching a movie. And I did kind of go like, okay, comedy is maybe skim it down and like give me something more, or at least just, I was like, you can make the movie shorter. I get this is obviously for a really young audience, but I'm at the same time, I have, I'm, I'm not exactly the most mature person, so I was like, I like the jokes, but I was like, sometimes I was just like, this plot line's gone on for a little too long. I'm like, okay, and why are we still hanging on this? I was like, oh, this is gonna be a whole part of the movie, huh? I'm like, okay. Um, Yeah, there was one or two or three times where I was thinking that, and I was like, man, I really just wish this was in the movie. I'm not gonna lie, you could have just cut this out. And I don't understand why it's there. Um, and I think Sonic himself, there's a thing he's trying to learn in this movie that I like, but I feel like the message behind it, the way it's delivered, I have an issue with. I can't get into specifics without making it seem off-putting. And I don't really think it's a spoiler. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say it because I don't feel like it's a spoiler because it's literally the first thing that's said in the movie, and it's said in the trailer, and it's what's his name, Donut Lord, the guy, the sheriff from the old one. He kind of plays like a father role, and I don't know how I feel about that because I find it odd. Like I feel like in the first one it was kind of a funny dynamic duo with them. It's like okay, you have this regular guy, and then you have this Sonic. You have Sonic, which there's so much to digest there. But I'm like, okay, you have those two, but I just didn't feel that father role at all, and it just, I don't know, it kind of low key rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, this is what we're going with, which Sonic says it. He's like, he kind of addresses that. He's like, "You're not my dad." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. He's not. So why are we doing this?" Which there's like a message they're trying to get to Sonic, which kind of makes sense, and I see ways they try to implement, but I'm like, it's kind of like doing a Vin Diesel. Like I'm like, do you need to do family as a topic here, or can you just get the message without adding family on top? It's like family feels more like a topping here, and less like it's actually a necessary ingredient for this film. You know what I mean? I was like, can we? And actually, that's where I feel like Tails did a better job. And I feel like if you had given more time and attention to Tails, now I understand that kind of takes away from like, oh, well, why did we put this guy like Donut Lord? I don't know what the actor's name is or the character's name. I think it's Mike or something. But why did we put him in the first film then if we're just gonna shift it to Tails and Tails is gonna be like his family? But I mean, I just feel like by the end of the film, he has a better family than two random humans he met like what 2 or 3 months ago. So I was like, oh yeah, that's another thing. It's not really a huge spoiler, but this kind of picks up fairly soon after the first film. So and you just figure that out right away. So like you don't see like a timestamp. They just kind of reference it like kind of not too passingly. Like it's like oh it happened like maybe last week. I'm just guessing. Like it happened like fairly close to each other, but yeah, I don't know. Those are my issues. Like, I feel like there's a few scenes where I was like, okay, yeah, you really. I think this is probably like maybe half an hour, literally without exaggeration. There's probably half an hour in this movie that you could just shave off. Literally, you could have just cut it off, and I think it just would have been a better movie. 100% it would have been a better movie. I'm like, we don't need this. We actually 100% don't need this stuff. And I was like, okay. Um, but yeah, I think my final thoughts on the non-spoiler section, the conclusion was actually really good. The conclusion was really good. I originally, I'm not gonna lie, before the third act was really kicked off and ended, like the movie really was like it got to its end point. There's a specific scene where like Robotnik or Eggman is like becoming the final boss, and like you know, the scene is getting set for the final fight. Right before that, I was thinking to myself like, okay, the movie's about to end. Like we're getting close. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. This feels like a seven, maybe a 7.2 if I'm being generous for a movie. I was like, I don't think this was like terrible. I don't think it was bad. I just think it was, I was like, and then the fight happened. And all the stuff after the fight, like even just the stuff after the fight, everything after that point, I was like, this is good. I was like, this is actually really good. And it made me go like, damn, I'm gonna give this like a 7.4 or 7.6. I was like basically it went from 70% to like 75, 76, basically 75%. I was like, that's not too bad. So for the rating, I'd probably give it a 7.4, 7.5, 7.6. In the middle, 7.5. I'd give it a 7.5. I don't like that number. Personally, I'm feeling 7.4, 7.6, but I have to, I'm like, well, in between is 7.5. But that's how I would rank the movie. I mean, Tails is really nice, but I feel like there's other things in the film and they bring attention to that just takes away from Tails. And I'm like, you could have had Tails, you could have invested more in Tails. Knuckles, they actually give some pretty good investment in. Knuckles, they give some really good investment in. I know I didn't talk about Knuckles a whole lot, but Knuckles was actually really good. Knuckles was, they made Knuckles' character really good in terms of like what they were going to do with him, and they had a plan. Tails, I feel like it was just kind of like, fell flat a little bit. So that's why I'm like, and Knuckles really comes of his own towards the end of it. So I'm like, when stuff happened and Knuckles becomes more of himself and less of a villain, the movie kind of picks up for me. Like I'm like, okay, and I feel like that's unfortunate because I feel like that's what Tails was supposed to do. Like Tails was supposed to be more of a character, and it just kind of fell short. But then Knuckles kind of saves the day. I'm not even kidding. Knuckles really kind of sort of saves the day there and makes the movie a little better. So yeah, I mean I can see people giving this like a 7, not a 7.5. But for me, I give it a 7.5 because there's nostalgia and bias and a lot of stuff that happens in the movie that I was like I said, this movie gave me everything I wanted. So I had nothing to complain about. I was like, damn, this is good. I'm happy, like I'm content. So yeah, I think when I tell someone to go watch the movie, um, in theaters, if you're a Sonic fan, yeah. If you're not, I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking to myself, this might be a hard movie to bring someone like that is a friend that doesn't really care about Sonic as much. Like I'm like, well, this one may not be it because there's definitely some slow parts. I'm like, you're gonna be like, bro, why did you bring me to this movie? I'm gonna be like, just wait till the end. It's like, and then the ending, you're like, okay, the ending was good, but still, I wasted a lot. I wasted maybe like 40 minutes there. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like 45 minutes is probably like, yeah. For me, it's less so. Like for me, it's half an hour. Like half an hour of that movie just didn't need to be there. But I'll talk about it in the spoiler section. But yeah, I'd say 7.5 is fair. I think to give it like an objective rating would be like a 7.1 or a 7.2. The thing I'm happiest about, just to end it off, is that I think it's good enough where you can have a third movie. And I think that's very important because the third movie I think literally is this seems like a really really good Sonic trilogy to me. Like this was smart. This is like the no-brainer. Like okay, first movie you have Sonic, second movie you have Tails and Knuckles. Not just Tails, but Tails and Knuckles. And then the third movie, you have whatever's in the third movie. If you're a Sonic fan, you might have an idea what that is. but I'm not gonna say anything. So that's for the spoilery part. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. If you guys want to go watch the movie, I think it's a great watch if you're a Sonic fan. But if you don't, I don't think you're missing a whole lot if you don't care about Sonic. But if you won't, I do think at some point I would recommend watching the movie if you are a Sonic fan. If you, I'll just say it right there. If you are a Sonic fan, even a little bit, go watch the movie. Go watch the movie. Don't expect to. I don't know. Like I think if I compare this to the first movie, I feel like don't expect us to like it as much as the first movie because I think it was so good because we didn't expect it to be that good. The second one, I feel like my expectations, I didn't even realize it, were probably just a little bit higher than they should have been. I was like, wait a second, this is still mostly a comedy family film thing, and I'm like, there's some good stuff. There's some really good stuff, but yeah, yeah, I'd say go watch it if you're a Sonic fan, 100%. If not, get it on DVD. Get it on DVD. I think that to me says it's below 75, but yeah, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, maybe 7.4, but yeah. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. Try to make it as quick as I could. Spoiler review is going to be even quicker, so whenever you do see the movie, whether you see it when the DVD comes out or in theaters, you can stick for this part. I will talk about spoilers in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Now, I'm going to dig into what I was talking about when I said, oh, half an hour. First off, two main things come to mind. The first thing, Tails and Sonic dancing. I did not need to see that. Why was that in the movie? Bro, to me, I was like, okay, maybe it's funny. And I was like Jim Carrey wasn't even in the scene, and I was like, Jim Carrey should be in the scene for some but he's not for some reason. Like I was like, why is this here? Why? And I think if it made Tails and Sonic really connect, like made Tails more open and gave him like more of a personality, maybe a backstory and stuff like that, I feel like it would have been good. But it didn't do that. If anything, it was just like, oh, okay, well, they danced. You know, I'm not saying the scene right before the dancing. I'm just saying the dancing. I'm like, why that whole? It was a whole like, felt like whole 5 minutes of just them doing that. I was like, well, I didn't need. We don't. Why is this here? Well, who made this decision? Why was this a choice? So yeah, that was one. And then the second one, I think everyone knows what I'm gonna refer to. That wedding was it was good how they brought Sonic in and they made they brought Mike and everything. I don't know if his name Mike, I forget, but like they brought him back and everything into the whole loop of the story. Um, but this whole what's her name, Rachel, the bride and everything, the sister of like Maddie. I remember her name because she was pretty, so I remembered her name. But yeah, so Maddie's sister, I think, or whatever. But anyways, she sorry about that. But yeah, so she's getting married to the super agent and finds out he's a super agent, and they have this whole thing, and she fights the agent boss. I'm like, why is this a thing? Like, why is that there? Like, why do I care? I don't, I think she's good comedy relief, but like, cool. Comic relief is one thing, but you don't need to dedicate like a whole 10-minute like fight scene. Like, I was like, this is ridiculous. Another thing is really the Chaos Emerald. Like, well, okay, so here's the thing: the Master Emerald beams up, and I was like, okay, cool. They're in Hawaii, not because the Chaos Emerald was close. No, they're in Hawaii because the wedding just happened to be there. Cause why not? It's Hawaii. That makes sense. But then I see, it's off the coast. Really? You guys were in Serbia, and now you're just like, oh, it's right off the coast. It could have been close to Australia. I thought that was way too convenient, way too practical. I was like, why is that even a thing? And the thing is, right? It's just ridiculous. I was like, well, why is it there? Why is it there? Like, I don't know. That bothered me a lot, but yeah. So that's something. But Sonic also, I will say this: when I said Sonic didn't have enough Sonic moments, I mean, this is the fastest thing alive. Why in the first movie he felt like in that first opening scene where he's going back to Green Hills, I was like, yeah, he's still Sonic. He's going fast and everything. But then after that, once Tails was happening, when he was going down the mountain, I was like, you're Sonic. Run. Run, dude. Carry him. Every time I was like, can Sonic not actually carry them and run? Is he not able to do that? And I thought for myself, I was like, maybe I've been too used to like Sonic X or like I don't know, the Sonic games where like he's lifting like, I don't know, full human beings and running, you know what I mean? Like I was like, maybe I've seen this too many times and actually like it for once like it doesn't make sense that a dude that's like what, 4'5", 4 feet and 5 inches tall is able to like carry these full adults and just zoom, you know? I'm like, okay, sure, if you can't do that, but still, there was way too many times where I was like, you need to be able to run, Sonic. Like, come on, just go fast. That's literally your thing. But yeah, he didn't. And Tails and this whole, oh, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog thing, I was like, okay, this is corny, and I don't know why you're just making that his personality. Like, it was less like, oh, he's a sidekick, and more like, oh, he's just a fanboy, and that's it. He had some personality glimpses here and there, but I was like, you didn't give Tails anything? Meanwhile, Knuckles gets a whole backstory. He gets development, and I was like, Knuckles is such a good, like character. Like I'm invested, and oh my god, when Idris Elba got to make him like into an actual like person. They gave him continuous like trends, like oh, honor, talking about honor. They made him into kind of like a Vegeta situation where it's like talking about honor, and then like the dot dot dot, and then he had like a they reoccurred things. They referenced jokes relating to Knuckles, and I was like, this is really good. This is really good. Like they flushed him out so well, but then Tails, ironically, they just didn't do much with him, and I was like, maybe they'll fix it in the third film, which the third film had Shadow at the very post credit scene. I was like, yep, makes sense. And it makes sense because I think I said this in the trailer reaction because I did a reaction to the Game Awards, which had the trailer, the first trailer for it. And I said, well, and that's when we first got revealed that Knuckles was in it. And I was like, well, okay, you have Sonic and Tails, but then now you have Knuckles. So I was like, this is perfect. So just have the third film be Shadow. And then that basically to me seems like a perfect Sonic like trilogy because think about it, you have Sonic in the first one, see if that works, and then the second one you bring Tails and Knuckles. That's his friends, and then you have his actual main rival, who is Shadow. Like his actual contention, because Knuckles is a great villain. Because in the games he gets turned by Robotnik as well. So it was Sonic 3, which had one of my favorite moments. The Chaos Emeralds when it broke the Master Emerald and the Chaos Emeralds were there and he was panicking. I was like, I knew what was gonna happen. I was like, oh shit, bro! I got on my seat. I went like this. I tried not to cuss because there was tons of kids in the theater, and I was like, with their parents too, because they would have killed me. So I was just like, bro. And I looked, and they were about to do the stomp, and I saw yellow. I saw gold. He looks so good. He looks so good. I forgot. This is how long it's been since I've seen Sonic games. I forgot his eyes were red when he turned supersonic. It looks so beautiful. And I was like, we have Shadow in the third one? You already know what's going to happen. I was like, Supersonic, Hyper Shadow. Listen, that's why I was like, I want this movie. And by that point, I was like, okay, you know what? Because the final boss, Robotnik, he makes his giant mech. And I think that was actually smart. I was really nervous when he got the Chaos Emerald, like the Master Emerald, and he fused with it and everything. I was really nervous at that part because I was like, I really hope this isn't going to be like, oh, he has superpowers, and then that's the final fight. I'm like, I don't like that. But it was actually really, really well done because it's really just a way for him to have his giant mech and for it to make sense. Like it's like he really made that thing. Like it's unrealistic how big that thing is. You know what I mean? So I was like, right, it makes sense. He makes that with the Master Emerald and he gets his perfect weapon. And then even though it comes out of him, like it was easily knocked out of him by Knuckles. I was like, you know what, this is okay because I didn't like the whole superpower thing anyways. But then it breaks, and then you have Supersonic versus this giant mech, and it helps to show how strong Supersonic is. And I'm like, this is perfect. It felt very like if you played Sonic Unleashed, where at the beginning of that the cinematic beginning of that film, if you haven't played the game, spoiler alert, but this actually is literally right at the beginning, and it's not even the whole thing of the film, because the whole thing of the film is in the cover he's a werewolf, but right before that, Sonic is supersonic, and he's going at Eggman, and he's at a spaceship. The way he looks at Eggman as supersonic and that interaction was the exact same to me. Like I got huge nostalgia, like 10 years like back, like nostalgia of just looking at like when he's like negotiating with Sonic. He's like, I love the new look. It's like it just felt that same energy to me. So I loved it. I loved it. And that's why like Knuckles being a good guy, Idris being able to like give Knuckles character and jokes and comedy. I love the baseball scene at the very end. That was perfect because that felt like actual like Sonic X, Sonic and friends having fun and being like I was like I'm excited for the next movie. I'm excited for the next movie. I think the next movie has the potential to be the best one. I don't know if Eggman's gonna be there because I don't know if Jim Carrey really wants to do another film, but that's fine if he doesn't because Robotnik, I think, did a really good job here, and I mean maybe he'll be in the third film. It kind of makes sense, kind of not. But then also like his grandfather might be involved with the whole shadow thing. Um, I don't know if they want Jim Carrey to play an old Robotnik or whatever, but yeah, I'm just really excited because I think with Shadow, with Knuckles being part of the gang, and then being able to get the audience comfortable, and I was fully comfortable with Knuckles. I just think the one thing is please invest more into Tails. Make him seem more like a better like character. Like yes, you had the brains, and he's a very big Sonic fan, and he admires Sonic, but like give him his own character. Um, there's some interesting lore stuff. I'm not really into it because I'm not that big on Sonic lore. I'm just kind of like there knowing from the games and little bit of like the shows like Sonic Underground, Sonic the Animated Series, Sonic the Hedgehog, the one was dun 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 dun, that one. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, so like Sonic and Tails Adventures. And I think that's it. Oh, Sonic X. I think I said that already. But yeah. So yeah, I'm not really too deep in the lore, but overall, I think that's all for the spoiler stuff. I just really like the movie. I think the movie at the end, I really liked it because I was like, well, yeah, there's definitely 100%. If I were to like have it on DVD for some reason, I wouldn't get this one on DVD. But if I were to rewatch it, I would just turn my brain off. I'd leave during like the dance scene, and I'd come back, and then I would leave during the wedding part. I'd be like, okay, when does Sonic get released? And then he gets released. I'm like, okay. And I actually kind of understand why they did the agency because I was really frustrated. I was like, why do we even have this? And then I saw, like, okay, in the post credit scene, they want the agency to be an excuse for we don't need Eggman, but we can still have Shadow. You see what I'm doing there? Like, I made the connection. I was like, oh, okay, okay, okay. Because maybe they don't know if, like, Jim wants to do a third movie, so in which case you can have the government and Shadow and they can have their dynamic. I think Jim does kind of make the movie a little bit like Jim Carrey's, reactions and stuff. But at the same time, I'm also kind of like, is it 100% necessary? I'm like, a little bit. But I think you can test it out, especially with Knuckles and Tails. Now you have enough in the cast to kind of like help Sonic and then a dynamic and help them grow a little bit. But yeah, like I said, everything from the non-spoiler part is the same. I don't like the whole fact that protecting people is a hero's responsibility, but you need this dude to be like his father figure. And at the end, when he said dad, I was like, and when Maddie was like telling him like, let's go save our kid, I was like, please don't say that. It's an animal. I was like, Sonic's a hedgehog. You're humans. Like, I'm like, you guys are married. If you want to do this whole dynamic, go get a kid. Like, you don't need to have one. You can go adopt one or something. You know what I mean? But I'm like, don't, like, come on, man. Like, Sonic can be just a friend. Like, why does it have to be the son dynamic? It just seemed a little much to me. So, yeah, that was all the stuff carried over. I think I addressed everything from previously, like in the non-spoiler section, and then also everything in the spoiler section that I just couldn't mention, which was the fights, Supersonic, Shadow, and the scenes specifically that I had issues with. Aside from that, I'm pretty sure, yeah, 7.4. It's about right. It's about right for this movie. It's not too bad. I can see some people just giving it a 70, like a 7, and be like, yeah, just leave it there. It's like, yeah, I can see that. But yeah, for me, it was as a Sonic fan, I give it that high. I think some people might actually go lower than 7 because they'd be like, well, like the plot's like, and stuff. But I think there's some good parts. I think there's some good parts, especially considering if you know the medium and everything. But yeah, guys, if you guys enjoyed the reaction, you know what to do. Light up the like button, smash up the sub button, give that bell your best. You know how that goes. Next time's next vid. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Peace and goodbye.